Burghead, a Pictish capital and home to all of the most decorated, most wanted people on ancient Rome's shit list. I am Ancient Swan, and I'll be damned if that wasn't something that approximates some sort of introduction. Today, Burghead is a small town in the north of Scotland, most of which was built in the early 19th century. However, this small town we see now was actually built on top of the ruins of something far more significant. It was once capital to one of Scotland's long-gone ancient kingdoms, and home to people who did not take kindly to being told what to do. The Picts were the kind of people who looked at the Roman Empire, the most powerful force in the ancient world, and said, "No thanks, it looks shit, and also I prefer to be ruled by my own folk rather than some wanker hundreds of miles away." A mindset and tradition that many Scots proudly uphold to this day. The Romans built walls to keep them out, which is basically ancient Rome's way of admitting, "We tried, but these guys are mental, and I'd prefer to just stop trying, thank you." The Picts first appeared in historical records around 297 AD, when Roman writers referred to them as the Picti, meaning painted ones, because apparently the Romans' biggest takeaway from fighting them was, wow, these people have cool tattoos. Meanwhile, the Picts were too busy ruining Roman afternoon tea plans with guerrilla warfare to care what they thought of almost anything at all. Now it's important to remember that although the Romans may have lumped these people together all as one, the Picts were actually a confederation of tribes that ruled over northern and eastern Scotland at that time, forming a formidable force against external threats. Their ability to repel Roman advances ensured that Scotland remained unconquered by the Empire. Now, the capital city at Burghead was the place to be if you were a Pict with ambitions. Located on the Moray Firth, Burghead is believed to have been one of the most significant Pictish settlements, serving as the capital of the Pictish kingdom of Fortriu and 3 times the size of any comparable Pictish site. The settlement was strategically positioned on a headland, surrounded by the North Sea on 3 sides, making it an ideal defensive location. With triple ramparts at the bit facing the landlubbers, a formidable defensive site indeed. Some sections of these ramparts still remain and still stand up to 3 meters high. However, it is thought that the original ramparts would have been at least double this height and topped with more wooden walls to keep out the dirty invader scum. The main city walls seem to have been built in the 3rd century AD, although there is evidence that this Pictish capital was actually built on top the ruins of a much earlier fortification. Differences in building styles also suggest the differing walls and ramparts were built at different times. Signs of earlier occupation found on the site include a late Bronze Age spearhead and a Greek coin dating from the reign of Nero, 54 to 68 AD. Imagine a Greek coin from the 1st century AD somehow made it all the way to northern Scotland, just to be lost by some absent-minded Egypt. I bet he was absolutely raging too. Imagine you're rocking about early Iron Age Scotland with the only shiny Greek coin in all the land. You'd think you were the bee's knees, the literal dog's bollocks. And then one day it slips out your pocket and that's it, gone, for what might as well be eternity. You'd be absolutely bloody livid. I'll bet the guy that found it 1,500 years later was over the moon, though. Finders keepers, losers weepers, as they say. The city at Burghead was divided into 2 sections, with no evidence of any internal gateway between them, implying a hierarchical relationship. There was the upper enclosure, likely reserved for royal or religious purposes, and a lower enclosure for all the losers who didn't have any royal blood. And then there was the folk living outside the main walls, who were so lowly and poor that they may as well not have bothered existing. The site's importance and its excellent nearby anchorage makes it likely that Burghead was also an important base for the Pictish naval forces, which were quite significant at this time, and were especially adept at kicking arse in the North Sea waves between the 4th and 8th centuries AD, right up until the Vikings floated over to hand everyone their arse on a golden platter. Burghead is steeped in mystery, with several intriguing archaeological features. One of the most famous discoveries is the Burghead Bulls, a collection of Pictish symbol stones carved with stylized bull figures. Historians say they represent strength and power. I say they were an early Pictish attempt at marketing. Come to Burghead, we've got bulls and strong drink. Given their history of fierce warfare, the Picts were probably the kind of people who thought punching a bull in the face was a reasonable weekend activity. Some habits do die hard. These bull carvings were also seen by some as remnants of pagan worship, and even today Burghead still holds the annual burning of the clave, a 1,000-year-old pagan fire festival tradition, where local men set stuff on fire and then march it up a hill to prove how hard they are. Another enigmatic feature is the Burghead Well, an underground water chamber possibly used for rituals. Being Scottish and descended from these people myself, I can 100% confirm that a ritual could be anything ranging from sacrificing the local dickhead to testing how long you can drink without passing out. Archaeologists today marvel at its construction. I imagine the Picts just needed somewhere secure to hide from their own terrible life choices. Although the original name of Burghead has now been lost to time and its name in the language of the Picts is not recorded, some historians believe this to be the Pinata Castra that features in Ptolemy's 2nd century map of the known world. The Romans spent centuries trying to conquer Scotland, but the Picts were having none of it. The Romans built Hadrian's Wall, which was basically them saying, "We're not even going to try anymore." And then they built the Antonine Wall, which was them saying, "Okay, we'll try a little bit, but only halfway." The Picts responded by raiding Roman settlements, stealing their supplies, and generally making life miserable for anyone who thought wearing a toga in Scottish weather was a good idea. The Romans eventually gave up, packed their bags, and buggered off back down south to Hadrian's Wall for a while, before taking the hint and leaving Britain entirely sometime later. That's right, the Picts were so annoying that they helped end Roman rule in Britain, and they're still waiting for the thank you that they deserve. Recent digs nearby have found hoards of bronze and silver Roman coins, proving that not only did the Picts enjoy smashing the shit out of their foreign invaders, but they were also big fans of stealing their shiny things and taking them back to the wife. Even today, any wise man will tell you that it's a bad idea to return home to the wife empty-handed. You always need something to show for the time spent away from home, and what woman doesn't want to be gifted with a load of someone else's money and shiny jewels? By the 9th century, the Picts began to merge with the emerging Gaelic cultures, eventually forming the Kingdom of Alba. This was where things truly fell apart, because once you start naming your country things like Alba, it's only a matter of time before people start inventing bagpipes. In case you were unaware, Alba remains the real name of Scotland to this day. The English name might be Scotland, but Alba damned if I don't think the real name is just so much prettier. Not so relevant, but the name Alba has the same Celtic language roots as the modern-day country of Albania. So, there you go. The capital at Burghead itself was destroyed by fire around 800 or 900 AD, marking the end of its prominence, because history really is mostly just things catching fire. Despite this, its legacy remains, with ongoing archaeological excavations uncovering new insights into Pictish life. To this day, the Picts remain an enigmatic and almost semi-mystical part of Scottish history. The Picts were the very definition of "we do what we want." They refused to be conquered, built massive fortresses, and left behind mysterious carvings that still confuse historians today. If they were still around, they'd probably be running underground fight clubs and refusing to pay taxes. And what human alive today do you know who can't feel some sort of connection with an ancestor that doesn't want to pay taxes? These were my people, right enough. And so what have we learned today, troops? I, for one, have learned that the people who once lived on the wee bit of dirt I sometimes now reside in were hard-ass chancers and opportunists who loved covering themselves in art and absolutely refused to be told what to do. It really is amazing how little some things change. The people here still love covering ourselves in tats. I have more than my fair share, and many of us still feel just as strongly about not being controlled by some titwank living hundreds of miles away. There's probably some other thing I've learned too, but I'm too overwhelmed with rampant wanky nationalist pride to remember what that was. Something, stealing shiny jewellery, something, do not upset the wife. Now, Let me take this tiny second out of time to remind you all that if you haven't hated the thing you've been watching so far, then don't forget to like and subscribe. Apparently, it helps the YouTube algorithm. Apparently. There is also the Patreon listed in the description below. For just $1 a month, I will be supplied with enough caffeine to keep on going and going and going and going and more going still. No worries, if not though. I understand very, very much. Special quick shout out there, to the Patreons of Ancient Swan, those being the lovely humans named Anthony T, George H, Malichi I, DD and Stephen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, much of the footage used in this video today is from my own self-made map, this one for the game Cities Skylines 2, because I'm addicted to world building and history and then city building all over that history with a big giant concrete car park, and I do it for the lols. If you also feel like playing on this map, then follow the link in the description below to grab the map for free. And if you'd like to know the map's information before doing that, then wait no longer, cause here it comes. Climate -3 to 19 degrees C, buildable area 51%. Outside connections, roads, rail, sea, air, power. Natural resources, wheat 20 square kilometers, forest 60 kilotons or 40 kilotons, oil 53 kilotons, fish 266 kilotons. Terrain, some flat land with many small hills and rises. And that's all for today, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes peeled though, because I'm not even close to being finished yet, so there's plenty more to come. I'm nice like that. Thanks again, folks. Peace, love, and Burghead. Goodbye.